I've always been kind of a naturally introverted person, and public speaking is something that has never come naturally to me. And the same thing goes for interviewing skills. So I had early struggles kind of opening myself up and expressing myself during those interviews. So I remember early on, the interviewer for a company I was applying for, that he told me that he was blown away by my resume, again, because I've always had that natural ability to write. But when he sat down with me, he basically said, I don't feel the same way about you as I do about your resume. I mean, essentially, I don't remember exactly his words, but it stung. I'll tell you that. It stung a lot. And it made me realize the deficiencies that I had in my interpersonal skills. And they were jarring. They were big. And so the experience of this kind of, at first I wanted to, throw a pity party for myself and feel bad. But ultimately I was able to kind of empower myself and find a reason for it. And I took on a kind of a journey of personal development and growth and developing these interpersonal skills over the next 15 years. So it's been a long journey. I've made progress, but there's still a ton of work to be done. But what I've found in life and throughout business is that the ability to public speak is the most important skill that you can ever have in business. This will come back to entrepreneurship later on, but it comes into every aspect of business, period. And so I think if business owners that are getting started want to master one skill that's really going to impact their business going forward, it's public speaking. And that's what I really learned from this, was the value of public speaking. I believe I was expressing a sense of almost desperation at that point in my career. And when I enter a sale where I have a mentality that I need the sale, things tend to fall apart, whether that's subconscious, whether that's conscious. I couldn't tell you exactly. But if I can enter a sale from a standpoint where it's here's the details, take it or leave it, it doesn't matter to me, that mentality anyway, not those words, that's when I tend to have a lot of success. Everything is positioning. So instead of having somebody that is kind of coming to me, not knowing a lot about me, and they're kind of just feeling me out in the process, which is what this person was doing during our sales conversations, it's more important to me now that I have social proof in advance. So things like having a portfolio of business to be able to show, things like having testimonial stories to ring off the top of my head, because that's funny, you have this problem, I helped this other person with a similar problem, here's the results that she got. Things like that. I didn't have those tools in my back pocket like I kind of do now. And I feel not having them made a big difference in that person being able to just kind of take what I gave him and go to somebody else. Because again, I failed to position myself as having enough value to stay with me. So for anybody getting started in the beginning, I think you have to have some of these positioning places in effect before you can kind of transition into those bigger sales. Because if you're doing things like workshops, it's easier to kind of get an early client, and then you can start building that portfolio with those type of clients and then moving into these bigger sales. So I think I probably jumped the gun a bit on that without having the foundational pieces in place ahead of time. Well, in terms of sales, I think taking on and learning the value of story is also an essential component that I learned through my experiences. And this comes down to how can I use stories throughout my sales pitch to diffuse objections in advance, even things like that. Because if I just randomly break into a testimonial story while I'm talking to a client, I can diffuse several objections with that story, and it totally doesn't register on a conscious level with most people. From a sales standpoint, I see storytelling and having those elements in place as completely critical skills. There is the finiteness of life, and again, being in an ICU bed where I basically couldn't move my body gave me a lot of time to self-reflect. So 24 hours in an ICU bed where you're awake and can't move feels like a week. Every day felt like a week to me. It gave me this sense of reflection. And I guess what drives me is I have this innate will to build something, to create some kind of a legacy and impact, so that when it is my time, I will leave something behind. And I feel like if I had passed at the time of my accident, that wasn't in place. And so I think that's a big driving factor for me is to now, take the risks, push myself harder, and to actually build something that stands the test of time, because I don't want to just be like a footnote on an obituary newspaper article and nothing else. Mm-hmm. Take on the challenge of personal development and public speaking at a younger age and really own that, because you have, when you're getting out of high school or getting out of college, you have a good 10 plus years where if you just spend all your time building those skill sets and becoming a better entrepreneur, a better speaker, a better business owner, you're really going to position yourself for success. If you don't achieve success in those first 10 years while you're learning all that, you're going to be in a great position, come 32 years old, 35 years old, where you can then go full-heartedly into something and just have all those foundational pieces in place to succeed.